make some sacrifice to step inside my light, to embrace the infinite, to embrace the limitless. I gotta see beyond my senses, 'cause the universe just wants me to say yes, to live my dreams and be all that love is. So I sang my song, I know it won't be long for faith.
The reality of getting to the place actually hits you. And as we were coming up, did you see all those people? There were like just massive amount of students down there. So when you see the crowd and how big it's going to be, and now it's right in front of you, that's when that little part kicks in, that little nervousness. Why am I a little nervous? I don't know. Like I said, it's just a big crowd. I got to run the speech in my head, so I got to pull out my throw-up bag. Where's my throw-up bag? Damn it. Where the hell did I put that throw-up bag? All right, so here's what we're going to talk about tonight. The acronym for today is OMMOTZ. O, optimism. I'll tell a Martin Seligman story there. M, this is when I'll try to transition and talk a little bit about my mother, because everybody wants to hear how I got out of the hood, got my degree and all that good stuff. I joke a lot about my GPA and how bad it was, you know, that whole thing. You heard that earlier. The M right here, I never told this story before, but I'm going to tell this story about when I went to a March of Dimes event and actually donated my time to the Special Olympics and how hard that was. And also it's going to be an uplifting story about how, you'll have to hear the story. This O right here is a tribute to Octavio Mateo. That was the guy that was a ship director that I mentioned. And he's the guy that really helped me. And I really want to emphasize to students that there's people on campus that can help them if they run into trouble.
We lived off of food stamps, government cheese, powdered milk. We were poor, 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 poor. You know you're poor when you change the TV with a what? Pliers. You know you're poor when you use a what for an antenna? Hanger. Thank you for feeling my pain. All right? We were poor, folks. Today I live what is known as a very nice zero-debt life, which means I don't know anybody, anything, and I live a nice life. Could I ever have imagined this life? Absolutely not. But when I look back at all the different people in my life who came in and out, who helped me, this is why I do what I do. Because I want you to be successful. I want you to go out and make your money. Because I want you to build your own companies, rise to the top, do whatever you got to do. And here's the second reason I want you to be successful. Because then I want you to help somebody else build their company and rise to the what? The top.
The T is going to be like a transformation mechanism. What's a transformation mechanism? It's when I'm going to take this one item, basically present something that's impossible, and then make it possible. More to come later. And the Z, always got to end on a cool story. So I'm going to tell a good zip-lining story at the end there. So again, OMMOTZ. That's my acronym for today. And my job is to bridge each of these stories together. And at the end, what's not on here, I always end with the Logic of Success pledge. That goes something like this. I pledge allegiance to my thing. Rise above doing what you love, make that dough doing what you know, and those who laugh can kiss my assets. Get the idea? So we'll see how it goes tonight. So time to roll it. I'm going to bed.
I think the theme, you know, something that hit me, you know, when I was in the room thinking about it, I think the theme is going to be finishing the race. In other words, if you started something, you got to finish it, no matter the obstacles, no matter what comes at you. So you're going to hear me repeat that phrase 2 or 3 times. That's going to be, I decided to wrap it around that theme, finishing the race.
Here's one of the messages I want to send out. Is college going to be tough for you? Absolutely, folks, but can you guarantee me one thing? You got to finish the race. It's a competitive society out there. Today, a bachelor's degree is your basic starting point for getting into corporate America. You got to finish the race. I don't care what your GPA is. I want you to finish the race. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying, woohoo, whatever your GPA is, I don't care. And I'm not saying that. I want you to get the best GPA you can, but I want you to what? Finish the race.
Today I'll speak for about 45 minutes. 2,500 kids will hear that speech. All 25 will pick their own moments in time in that speech. They'll say, that touched me. That resonated with me. From that point forward, I can't control anything else. But I'm hoping that when they go back to school and they're sitting in their dorm room, laboring over some exam that they have to take the next day, studying hard, they're crying because they can't figure this stuff out, much like I did, that they go, the guy said, finish the race at any cost. You got to finish the race. And they go, screw it, let's go do it and not quit. I think it's egotistical to think that I can change somebody's life. I think it's egotistical to think I can change somebody else's life. I can't. I can only provide a slight push. That's it. You think of any person's success from A to Z, between A to Z, there were many moments of truths, moments that happened that kept pushing them forward. I am just one simple moment in a, I don't know, from A to Z, in a bunch of little moments along that path. You're part of the success process, and you're not the pivotal point. You are just throwing a stone in the water. When I wanted to get out of the neighborhood, it was all about, getting out of the hood, man. Just, no more food stamps, government cheese, powdered milk, that whole bit. You just wanted to get out, So when I graduated, I moved to Minnesota, went to work for Honeywell. It's no secret, great company. And, it was one of those things that, I thought I'd hit the American dream right there. Go to school, get the education, get the degree, and get the J-O-B. And so I was happy, like anything else. You're happy for the first year. You're like, making some money. You're not poor anymore.
The option was, if I didn't go to college, I had to work in a what? A factory. That option was out. So I said, you know what? I'm going to college. And what do you think was the primary motivating factor for me to go to college? Yell it out. Who said money? Who said money? You think that I would go to college just to get a job for money? You think I'm that shallow? You would be correct.
And so what happened is, the first year goes by, money makes you happy. Second year goes by, the money isn't sustaining that happiness. By the third year, I'm not liking my job. What happened in those 3 years? Corporations happen. You know what's wrong with corporations? Here it is in a nutshell. They're run by people. And that's always going to be the problem. Corporations are run by people. And because they're run by people and people are imperfect, you always have an imperfect company. And when emotions get involved, politics get involved, favoritism, I don't care, nepotism, any type of ism you want to throw at it, something eventually happens where you go, I don't want to do this anymore. One day, quit, got another job. And that's actually how I started getting into sales. I started doing more what I call removed from engineering, more what I call application work. And then one day in this new company, they need a manager to travel Latin America to do sales and training. That's why I met my mentor, Jose Santana.
And this is 1992 when I first got into sales. And that guy right there, Jose Santana, he's from Cuba. This guy was the ultimate salesman in my book. We all come across people in our lives who are just fantastic salespeople. This guy was awesome. I followed him around for almost a year in Latin America. First of all, he had a voice like Ricardo Montalban. He would talk like, Oye, Victor. I mean, he had this beautiful, sultry voice. When customers would see this guy, they would want to hug him. And whatever he was selling, guess what? They were buying. And so I followed him around for about, like I said, for about a year, maybe a little more. And I think everything I learned in sales, as far as relationships, how to deal with people, how to treat people, I learned from that guy right there, Jose Santana.
The great thing about being in sales is that there's no hiding. You have a number. You have to hit that number. There's no excuses. Nobody wants to hear them. You had a quota. Did you hit your quota? Bam. A very objective, empirical metric. In corporations within the organization, the responsibility is so diluted amongst different responsibilities that if a project doesn't get done, well, marketing didn't give us this on time. If that would have happened, we would have had that on time. Well, maybe if we had coordinated better and really had planned to strategically do all that. I think the first sale you have to make is to sell yourself on the actual product. And if you can't sell yourself, who the hell else is going to believe you?